one of those on-air.
Yeah, we need an on-air sign.
Yeah, on-air sign. Willow.
So welcome back. We are back for the
Oh,
podcast. We are live.
Oh shit! Thanks for the warning.
I told you we're live.
I did not hear it. I was not listening.
We're back for podcast number 2. Today we have two special guests. Willow, which is our new Labradoodle, and Laurie.
Hi.
Laurie?
So we're going to talk about, in this podcast, our last video that dropped, which would be Crossbar. We went to Crossbar and we did Screen Door.
We did do screen door. And I guess it started off, the first time we went to Crossbar, if y'all have followed our YouTube channel or went back and watched our old videos, we've been to Crossbar once before.
That's a good one because
It is a good one.
the
'cause
Commander.
That was the worst crash that I've been in the Commander. Thought I was going to die. No, I'm just kidding. But it wasn't bad, like the worst crash I've been in side by side. And
It was the worst one to film.
the worst one to film in a side by side.
Yeah,
I've been in
I was
worse
a little sketchy on
I've
that
been in
one.
worse crashes, but
Yeah, we went back to that hill.
yeah, we went back. But anyways, the first time we went to Crossbar, we passed screen door. We didn't end up doing it. We had a bunch of people riding with us that did not want to do it, and we were at the top of screen door, so we just decided as a group
Willow,
it was better to go
Willow.
around it. And so the second time we went, this last time, me and Brent were dead set on no matter who went with us, we were going to do it.
We were
We
going
were
to do
going
it.
to attempt it. We were going to
So
attempt it.
we made a point to go to Screen Door this time. We made a point to go by. We did a 2-day trip. We went by it the first day to actually go look at it and scope it out. And we decided not to tackle it the first day because we knew that there was a chance that there could be some carnage. And we really wanted just to go ride and have a good time. So we decided to come back the second day just to
Yeah.
tackle it the second day because we knew we were going to get into some shit that could break stuff.
Yeah, and if we broke something on the second day, we were coming home to, excuse me, the next morning, so we weren't too worried about it because we weren't going to lose much ride time.
Right.
So, the second day comes around. We wake up, we're like, hey, let's go to screen door. We all pile in the rides and we go to screen door. As y'all know,
And
we've
then
been,
what happened?
and then what?
And
As y'all know, we've been very
well,
very impressed with the KRX on what it has done in stock form. It's not a built ride. It's not nowhere near being built. All it has is shock therapy springs on it. That's it. So
and we gained what, 3 inches of ground clearance on
that's
it?
about all you get with shock therapy is ground clearance. And in some rides, you get the smoothness of the ride with shock therapy, but with the KRX factory springs, you don't really gain any smoothness from doing shock therapy. You just gain ground clearance. So, pretty much in stock form, the KRX was, I mean, we were very impressed by it. And everything I pointed at, the KRX would do it. It wouldn't do it easy sometimes. Sometimes it struggled a little bit, but it would do it. Until we get to screen door.
Yeah.
It did want nothing to do with screen door.
So, and that's a good test of like, we like to have different rides and we like to have different setups to see how they work.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the big things between my Razor and Lori's X3 or Tanner's KRX is wheelbase. We pretty much all run the same size tires, so like it's a good comparison to see where the shorter wheelbase or the longer wheelbase works.
Yeah.
And crazy enough, in screen door, the shorter wheelbase really worked out on 32s compared to 35s or longer wheelbases.
Yeah.
If you watch the video, I mean, Damon in his high lifter Razor, he's on 35s. He literally just walked right up it. I mean, he picked a good line, he shot right up it, he came up and went right back down like it was nothing.
Yeah. If you'll watch the video on our screen door at Crossbar, I don't know how well you could tell it. To me, you couldn't tell it as well in video, of course, compared to in person. But then with the KRX, it was bottoming out. right, right underneath the seats. So right where you sit is where it'll sit in the floorboard on the rock, on the ledge. So
And how hard did it hit the floorboard?
the floorboard was so you got the plastic floorboard where your feet rest, and then it's got little metal pieces as a skid plate underneath that.
Well,
The metal-
what's in those floorboards?
Drain plugs.
Drain plugs, and what would not go back in the floorboard?
Drain plugs.
Drain plugs.
The
So
metal.
when we say that Tanner was literally bottoming out in the belly, he bottomed out so hard and so violently, the drain plugs would not go back in.
And I was trying so hard to get up the screen door because I was like, I've made up everything since I bought the KRX. Everything I pointed it at, it's gone up. So I was so determined to go up screen door, I was willing to break the rig in half just to go almost, in a sense. So,
And if you look at the video and you watch the video, you'll see Tanner was the very first one to tackle it. There was literally screen door raw. He tried it, and the first step up it's a big step up, and it's always wet and it's always slippery.
3.5, 4 foot step.
Yeah, so like Tanner tried it, and he couldn't make it. He tried it, and he couldn't make it. He tried it, and he couldn't make it. So then he backs down. Well, then another person tries it. And so then we actually start building up some rocks, which kind of gives you a step up to give you something to crawl over. Well, at the point that I can't remember who the first one to make it was,
I don't remember either.
you know, like Tanner was like, well, heck, y'all built a road, I can make it up. And so Tanner hits it again. Still couldn't
Still
make it.
couldn't make it.
You know, so like, and there's no fault on the KRX. The KRX is probably still one of the most capable rigs we have, but on 31-inch tires, we finally found something it couldn't do on 31s.
It wouldn't do it. Like it wasn't, like Brent said, it wasn't KRX's fault, it wasn't a driver fault, it was just a ground clearance issue.
And screen door, if you've never been to Crossbar, you've never seen it, like the very first obstacle is very,
Video don't do it
It
justice.
does
Like
not do it justice.
most of our videos that we have posted, we go back and rewatch them and we're like, dude, that
it don't look hard.
It doesn't look hard like it does in person. So I mean, the video don't do it justice. Like I said earlier, I don't know if y'all can hear me. It's like a 3.5, 4 foot step up at screen door. That's just screen door raw. There's no rock build up to give it a little extra breakover point on the ride. So I mean, it's a good step up
And screen door is like a step up, and then a step up, and then a step up. So depending on your wheelbase, you're hitting two steps at the same time.
yeah.
And that's where we really ran into the problems. And
June bug,
it's not June.
but it's a June bug.
Oh well. And even with my rig, like my Razor on 32-inch Zillas, like I struggled. We ended up building us, you know, kind of some step ups to crawl over some stuff. And
It wasn't nothing major, but it was something just.
it's a small breakover point. And you could probably climb it without it. You could probably climb it if you really wanted to hammer down on it. But sadly enough, I break enough parts. I don't want to beat my rig into breaking just to say I did it because of that point. Like we still climb screen door regardless.
And I will say, the first time I hit screen door, as Brent was saying, when the breakover point, we raised it up a little bit with adding rocks to it. So when I first tried it, I wasn't hitting it as hard as I could. Bro! But, anyway, so
Hey, we can hear
that
from here.
2 or 3 times that after the first time that I hit it, as soon as my tires were going up the first step up, I had the KRX to the floor. As soon as I could feel the front end going up, I master throttle to the floor and just went for it. And no matter how hard I was trying, it just kept bottoming out at the same point. But in the video, you can't really tell. I had the front end in a bind. And like I said earlier, the KRX is pretty much all stock. It's stock axle, stock diff, stock tie rod, stock ball joints, everything. It made a lot of noises. It was bounding up, popping. It was making a lot of noises, but it never did break, and everything still functions as it would. And so, I mean, like I said, once again, the KRX, even though it didn't make it, it impressed us at that obstacle on just how strong it was, because we put the front end at a very good test. And same thing as think I said on the last podcast that KRX needs a skid plate, just because the floorboard went, I mean, it'd been up, drain plugs won't go in no more. I had to hammer the metal part of the floorboard back out. And so that's the only thing it needs, the front end. Like I said, when it's tested, probably to its max, I guess. I don't know, we haven't tested, like it was at a hell of a bind. It was popping and squeaking and making all kinds of noises, and it didn't break. So the KRX impressed us in that sense on how strong it was, that screen door.
Yeah, it literally did not break. And like, there was a couple parts you can listen to the video, like, it should have broke. Like, my rig would have broken.
Nathan's home.
She's back. But, you know, like, that just really stands up to the testament of how strong the KRX really is. And that's, you know, we mentioned in the last podcast, that's why Tanner went that. Like, we really thought about the point of why we would buy that rig, or why Tanner would want to pick that rig, and that's why. Like,
And it looked a lot stronger than Polaris and Can-Ams. If you just go look at them without knowing anything about it, you can look at the KRX and say, that one looks stronger. Everything looks built heavier duty. We really didn't know if it was or not. We were just going off the looks. There wasn't a whole lot of information out on the time on KRXs, so we were just strictly going off the looks. And I mean, so far it's
If you were going by looks, you would have got an X3.
I would have not. But not for sure.
they look way pretty.
Yours is
They look like
yours is too boxy.
What's your favorite part of the KRX?
The seats.
The seats. So,
I already
but
told
I mean,
y'all, and y'all cut me out of the last
so,
video.
some of y'all don't.
The information of the KRX, y'all asked me, and y'all didn't go with that.
Oh, she broke it
Again?
again.
And
So, as some of y'all don't know, I've spent plenty of time working on these rides. I worked at a dealership as a technician on Polaris, Can-Am, and Kawasaki's. So those were the three that we were a dealer for.
I'm glad this is raw.
Yeah.
What?
I'm glad we're off the cuff on this whole deal.
Yeah. And
Y'all invited me in.
So our oldest son just came home.
yeah, their little son.
Yeah, our oldest son. Tanner's oldest nephew.
So, like I was saying, I worked at a dealership with these. Polaris, Can-Am, and Kawasaki was what we were dealing for. And if I took that out of the equation of what I knew of all of them, the KRX just looked the strongest out of three of them. And then it's backed it up to this point. Like, it's been the strongest in stock form. It's been the strongest.
But why would you pick an X3?
You got nothing to say on the KRX?
I'm just trying to
That
think.
hurts my feelings.
Why?
bro.
Because I like the way they look.
I like the way they look.
I don't like.
They look fast.
They
Caleb,
look mean.
Caleb.
They look fast. They
Caleb,
don't
I
look
need you to comment
boxy.
below and
They
say what
don't-
you think about X3s in the
Y'all don't worry
comments.
about Caleb.
I want him to comment
No,
below.
I already know that he don't like them, but like the Polaris is all boxy. Yours is huge, like the fucking Cadillac. And
Good thing we're video on this because I was about to say something totally that shouldn't have got video.
Like a Cadillac.
well, not a Cadillac.
Oh, it's like a Cadillac.
It is like-
Big, heavy.
Yeah. Shit.
I mean,
Just look at it out there.
So, anyways, going on. So that's the story of the KRX trying to hit it. So the next person I think that hit it was Caleb.
Caleb hit it second with the
And Maverick.
Maverick
That's
Sport.
The Maverick Sport, which is the second gen Maverick. He has the XMR model. What's he hit it? Once or twice?
It was probably the third or
Maybe
fourth time that he
Nathan's
really
on.
Oh, it's
snapped.
34?
Yeah, it was a few times where he broke the axle.
So
And he's on 35s.
Yeah, he's
so
on 35.
He's on 35-inch crawler XGs.
Nathan, come on over here.
Beyond that, it's stock. Like it's a stock rig.
Come get your
Yeah,
dog.
so beyond that is a stock XMR other than tires. Like completely stock. And he bounced it up, or tried to bounce it up, screen door 3 or 4 times. And it broke the left front axle. And Robert inspired him.
You
I'm
missed one.
assuming, I don't think
Okay,
Caleb's.
bye.
Bro,
Wait.
we're on topic of side-by-sides.
Oh.
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 I'm in a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The wrong
we
one.
had the wrong
The wrong
conversation.
conversation.
It happened.
Rocks and Trails Edition Razor inspired Caleb
It's a different one.
to hit it with only 3-wheel drive, and he still didn't make it. When he was right at the breaking point every time that he tried it. He was right there, and we were telling him that. So right before the axle broke, we told him, hey, just hit it a little harder, and it's gonna go right over the breaking point.
Right.
It did not go right over the breaking point of.
We went to the
making it.
breaking point.
I was getting to that.
It broke.
It broke, but it was not at the breaking point of making it.
And in his defense, like it's a Maverick Sport XMR, and it's all stock minus the 35s. Like it's still on stock axles, still on stock driveline. So
Yeah.
him breaking an axle is not really surprising. I mean, like, sadly enough, like we think that like an axle kind of sucks, but it is nice to break it compared to other things.
Compared to a transmission or a differential
Yeah, and that's-
or a drive shaft.
Oh, that's what me and Tanner's talking about. Like my rig's built essentially so strong that every time I get to a point of driving or riding it, when I brake, it's breaking the weakest point, which,
And so far, the case has been front diff.
yeah, that front diff's been the weakest point. It's not necessarily breaking it, it's just ratcheting it.
Which
And
sucks.
when I say breaking it, like it's literally not breaking, it's just not working.
Yeah. Which sucks because to fix it, you have to pull the whole front diff out.
Yeah,
But,
which is a pain in line.
which is a pain, but if it was just an axle, like you can just pull the axle out, throw a new one in there and go on about your way. But instead, you gotta spend a couple extra hours tearing it down, replacing, the sprag, armature plate, whatever it is that's going bad.
Yeah.
And so that's the sucky part about it. But at some point, no matter what you build,
Something's gonna break.
there's got to be a giving point. And his just happens to be the differential in his, and we can't seem to get a diff strong enough yet to hold up.
And we'll go into that more later, probably in a different podcast, so stay tuned. But like, I have another diff that's a fully built diff. The diff that's in mine now is
You
not.
just said we're going to go into detail about that later.
Yeah, so you'll get more of that later. But like, I'm getting a diff built that should hold up. Like I've talked to some,
We said that about the last 4 though.
well, we keep upgrading.
Yeah.
We keep upgrading. I don't want to go to a full rock crawler kit because we do drive normal trails in normal situations. And that's the conversation that we've got into. Like, I can buy a rock crawler kit that's a full locked front hub system.
Yeah.
But it's going to kill my drivability, but it's going to make it to where it don't break or it don't ratchet. And
We're not hill blasters.
No,
like,
I'm
we're
not.
not hitting everything at full speed where shit is guaranteed to
yeah, I'm
break.
literally not wanting my rig to be a full on like this rock bouncer style. Like I still want to crawl and I want to climb, but I don't want to.
And then also, if you want to go hit the back roads back here,
Yeah,
you
because
wanna
we
be able to
drive.
it.
We drive a lot. Like we still ride back roads. We still ride Mina. We still ride places like I don't need it locked. I don't need
You
all
don't need
that.
forward drive at all.
Yeah,
most
at
of
all.
the time.
Yeah, I just want to cruise.
Yeah.
We do a lot of that because that's still fun to us and our family. But.
So,
And that's, like, and going even into screen door, like you won't see, or you didn't see the X3 climbing. And we did that on purpose. We kind of
we
said,
didn't even film a clip of it. It's not like it tried it, and
It-
we just didn't put it in the video. It didn't try it at all.
it didn't try it at all. And the reason we say that is because if Tanner can't make it in the KRX on 31-inch tires with his stock wheelbase, then we pretty much know that the X3 is not going to make it either.
And it's on 32.
It's on 32s with shock
But-
therapy, but as far as the overall belly height, the overall wheelbase, and the overall tire
And
rollout,
If you put the KRX side by side to the X3, the tire size, the belly height, and everything is damn near exactly the same.
it's pretty much.
Yeah.
And we mentioned this in the last podcast that the X3 is a stock model, which was the Visco lock. The Visco lock, the biggest downfall is the axle shaft. So regardless of the locker you have in it, if you're running the stock size axles, the weakest point is the axle shafts. And regardless of stock axles, Rhino 2.0s, or Turner axles, you're still probably going to break the shafts.
And it's breaking, like he said, the spline part of the shaft inside the diff.
It's not breaking knuckles,
So-
it's not breaking shafts, it's not
Yeah.
breaking at the wheel, it's literally breaking in the dip,
Yeah, so
inside of it.
just to get the remaining pieces of axle out, you still have to pull the differential out.
We have to pull the dip, so the last two or three times we've broke an axle in that, like I've had to pull the whole front end apart, pull the differential apart, pull the axle piece out to put it all back together, put a new axle in it. So while it is strong and it works good, we know that that's the weakest point of it until we upgrade to a Halo 30 and then the 1-inch spline axles. And we mentioned that in the last podcast, like that's just not gonna happen right now.
Yeah.
And it might not happen for a long time. I just can't afford to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
So if Tanner can't make it, not saying the X3 couldn't make it, but if we get to the point that we're pushing it that hard, we know we're
It's
either
gonna
gonna
break.
make it or it's gonna break.
It's-
And we just don't wanna break it on
Right.
purpose.
From our past experiences, it was pretty much a guarantee it was gonna break.
Yeah, it's gonna snap an axle, and it can still climb up it, there's no doubt, but like there's a 50% chance it's gonna go up, and there's a 50% chance it's gonna break. Like that's it.
Our luck,
It's
we
gonna
had a
break.
shitty luck, so.
So we didn't even try the X3 myself, Nathan driving or Lori driving, we didn't want to take that risk.
Yeah. So, the X3 didn't try it. Damon, with the blue high lifter racer on 35-inch Zillas, he tried it. Of course, 35-inch Zillas, shorter wheelbase,
It,
walked right up.
it crawled it like it was nothing, literally nothing. He walked up and down. We made fun of him because we said he had the shortest time in the video because he didn't struggle. Like, hey, you want longer time in the videos, you gotta make it interesting. Like, you walked up and walked down, like nothing to it.
Like, get close to flipping.
Yeah.
Something.
Give us something interesting. Okay, we can't just put you in there, just, whoa, that's it.
So, he walked right up it.
He
and walked right down it, no issues at all. And then Robert, a good buddy of ours who has the blue Rocks and Trails edition, almost identical to me and Brent's dad. He's on 32s, where our dad is only on 30s. He has a little bit different cage design. That's pretty much the only difference in them. That's the only way you can tell the difference.
He
is the
has
cage.
he had the same shock therapy setup, and we put the shock therapy on his and on Dad's, so they're like set up exactly the same on height. And he is running aftermarket wheels and 32-inch Rockabillys.
That's about the only way you can tell the difference, because even from a distance, their cage looks the same. The only way you can tell the difference in their cages is up close.
Yeah, Roberts is a little more chopped, but they're essentially the exact same
So,
frame.
about the only way you can tell the difference is the wheels and tires. Robert, like Brent said, Robert has aftermarket wheels and 32-inch tires, where Dad is all stock on tires and wheels.
And he's still running V-locks, and I think he was saying he was aired down, still pretty good for that trip. So, because we knew you go to crossbar, you're going to crawl, like you're going to go up and stuff. So he was aired down to be ready for that.
So Brent made it, of course, up screen door. We had to build a little bit of a breakover point with extra rocks to help the breakover point, where it doesn't bottom out as soon. So Brent made it up pretty easy. He struggled a little bit, if y'all seen the video, but he made it up pretty good. And down on 32s, Zillas, the sticky Zillas.
Yeah, on competition Zillas.
Yeah. So Robert tried it on 32-inch Rockabillys. Took the same line Brent did going up it, made it easier than Brent.
Yeah, he literally just crawled right up it like it's nothing.
He made it easier than he did. And then he came back down, and as he's coming down the last step up the screen door, Brent says to him, I'll let you tell him that way you can.
Yeah, and Robert's come back down, and it's a joke with Robert. Like, if you tell Robert, hey,
Do something.
Robert will do it.
Yeah.
So I made the comment to Robert, hey, you need to pick your own line instead of taking mine. That's all it literally took to flip that switch. And that's why I put that in that video. Like, I edited that video, and I was like, that is why we put that in there, because he flipped the switch immediately, like, okay, threw that thing in reverse and just whop backwards. And we did not edit anything out of that. Like, that was for real how easy it was for him to crawl that in reverse, which is crazy because he hit it 3 or 4 licks on the first step up and crawled up it, and he would have made the whole trail if he wouldn't have just bounced sideways and drove up into the trees. So
But,
literally he made
it
7/8 of the trip.
he had made it up all the hard spots. He made it past all the step ups. All he had to do The only part he missed was the exit going back to the trail onion
Back,
patch,
yeah, go back
which-
to Onion Patch, yeah.
which leads to the screen door from the top side. So
Yeah.
that's the only part he missed was a little exit point. Other than that, he made it up all the hard stuff and
Yeah.
reverse.
And reverse. So like, that's why we made a kind of a big deal out of that video, because like,
Yeah.
we've watched video after video of crossbar, and we've seen people cross screen door, and screen door is tough, no doubt about it. I've never, ever seen anybody do that in reverse.
I've never heard of it.
So more or less, somebody doing it reverse, more or less somebody doing it in a stock side-by-side on 32s. And he did that.
And we tried to get him on the podcast today so y'all could get kind of inside his mind on what was, how he thinks, which I don't think he does. But I love you, Robert, but you don't really think when it comes to it.
Yeah. Screws
So-
loose, Robert.
Yeah.
Screws loose.
But he's not comfortable in front of a camera, which is understandable. Me and Brent weren't comfortable in front of one when we first started.
Yeah,
So
if you go back to our first videos, like,
there's a lot of footage y'all didn't see.
we have so many outtakes of us trying to film anything that was off the cuff, because we don't, like, it's terrible.
So, to our understanding, we understand if you do not want to be in front of the camera, so we understood Robert's point of view. We ain't pressuring him to be here today, so we still love you, Robert, but we wish you was here.
Yeah, at some point we'll get Robert on here, because Robert has, if you go back to our very first video, Robert was in there. And Robert was in there back there when he had the Turbo S. So Robert had a Turbo S, 72 wide, Razor with cage and all that stuff on it. And he's rode with us for a long time.
We've known him for years.
We've known him for years. He's a friend of our dad's, and
Yeah.
and we call him up. Literally, you can call him up, and I know this because we just did it last weekend. And say, hey, we're going riding in 2 days, and we're taking a day trip. He'll load his shit up, and he's coming.
Yeah.
Robert wants to ride, and he's chill with riding with us, and he's game for anything we want to do. Hey, we're going up this, we're going over here, we're going to try that. He's like, let's go.
So
Yeah.
Robert, he's game for anything at all. It doesn't. You can literally know you're going to do a backflip going up something, and he's going to try it. He's just.
And you'll see that in other videos, because like Robert has 2 rigs. So he has the Trails and Rocks Edition 1000 XP, and he also has a Razor 900. I rode with him in both of them at the trip to Crossbar. So I rode with him in the 900. You'll see that in the next video with some hills that, like, wow.
And you
And
also rode with him.
I rode with him in the 1000 up another trail.
That is
You'll see
also wow.
Wow. We'll bring that up later, but Robert's a rider. Like, he wants to ride, he's chill with it. He's actually been to Moab and stuff. That's one of our trips that we haven't made, we want to go on.
Yeah.
So, kudos to him for riding with us and letting us film him and shoot him, and he's into it just as much as we are on trying to get
Yeah.
this, these trips in perspective in a sense.
Before we even met Robert, so years before we met him, we've probably known him for 8-9 years now.
You've known him longer than I have.
Yeah.
At least a decade or more.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say right around 10 years that I've known him, Brent's known him, not much.
Shorter than that.
Much shorter than
yeah.
that. So, Robert, before I even knew him, Robert was big into rock bouncers, full tube chassis, V8 motors, tube chassis,
Yeah.
buggies that you see, like busted knuckle spokes, like just full on bouncing up hills as fast and hard as you can hit them. So that was what Robert was into before we knew him. And then by the time I met him, he was a 900. So Robert's experience, rock crawling or bouncing, whatever you want to call it, it's top tier in my opinion. Like he can see stuff going up a trail to pick a line. He can just see something that's going to work so much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like his decision making is top tier when it comes to that.
Yeah, he's fun to ride with, because he's not even to that person. Like, if you want to try it, he's like, I'm game for it. And he's there to help you, he's there to assist you, he's there to build up step ups, he's there to winch, he's whatever you need, like he's there.
Yeah.
He's rode with us to the point that he's hurt himself helping kids up the hills. He's, ripped his pants wide open helping kids up there. Like, we got so many funny stories of him riding with us, but like.
And then just outside of riding, he's a character to be around.
Yeah, he's a hoot to hang out with and ride with, and, you know, he rode with us at Bridgeport, you seen him in that video. He brought along, a friend of his named Ori, which you'll see, we got a video coming up pretty soon with Ori and kind of some setup for his kids.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, kind of an all around, that's really what we do this for. You know, we bring this in to bring in a perspective of everybody and everything we do. Different rigs, different people, different personalities, different lifestyles, to bring you the biggest experience we can. You know, a lot of people ride straight Can-Am X3, straight Razors, straight turbos. We have everything.
We've had generals, commanders.
Yeah.
We have, before YouTube, we have videos of Rangers, players Rangers, with 8,000 miles going up shit.
Yeah, that shouldn't.
We may have to drop that clip into this podcast.
Yeah.
I still have it, but just so y'all believe it, I may have to drop that clip in here. But like, we have
So
players
wait, yeah, that was way
Rangers.
before Tanner even had his own side by side.
I was driving our dad's ranch.
Farm rig,
Yeah, our dad's farm rig.
On like stock 28s or 29s or so, I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff that 30s and 32s are struggling on, and you just see this Ranger just barreling up the hill until they can't make it no more. But I mean, that's literally how we are and how we started, and that's kind of what's got us to where we are now. I mean, we've progressed or grown so much in 3 months, 6 months, a year. You know, it's wild, it's crazy. I would have never thought we'd be where we're at now.
Dude, a year ago, I just recently bought the Commander off of you.
TD.
True Dat. That stands for True Dat for us. Not touchdown. It stands for True Dat.
Yeah. So yeah, the Commander was, probably about March.
I bought it. I had it when it snowed last year. It snowed in February. last year.
Yeah.
So it was a little over a year ago that I just bought it from you.
Yeah.
And to this day, it's April 15th. So from, I'm going to say January of 2021 to April 15th of 2022, I did not think we was going to be doing the difficulty of the trails, such as screen door. I didn't even know.
We went last year.
I didn't even know crosswalks.
We were going to do screen door with the Commander last year.
Yeah.
And we had people that rode with us and said, well, we don't really want to try that because nobody can make it. And we were determined to do it then.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I didn't even
that was
know-
previous to me having Tillis.
Yeah.
That's you and the Commander on 30s. You know, that was Dad still in the,
Yeah.
he just bought the Trails and Rocks.
No, he ain't bought it yet.
Yes, because that was the very first, it was 2 days old.
Crossbar with it was 2
It was 2
days
days
old.
old.
Like the
Yeah.
first crossbar trip. Yeah.
So like we were literally gonna try all this stuff last year with non-sticky tires.
Probably the worst build of rods you can try it with.
I'm gonna shoot for it though. We don't care.
But when I bought the Commander in January of 2021, I didn't even know screen door existed. I didn't know crossbar existed. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that was out there. So even though I've been around the side-by-side world forever, I didn't know some of this stuff existed.
What, I mean,
You gotta do,
a lot of
so-
people gotta understand, where we're from is a big mud park area.
Big East Texas.
Rednecks with
East
paychecks and River Run is essentially what probably 80% of the population go to. Like,
If you're selling, let's say one of our rides that's built for rock crawling. If you wanted to sell it, Brent's Razor, if you wanted to sell Brent's Razor, as it sits, as y'all see in the video, and if you wanted to sell Brent's Razor as a mud ride with 30, let's say 40s, let's say 40 BKT inch tires on it, 40 inch BKTs. If you wanted to sell it for how it sits, as y'all see in the videos, compared to with 40 inch tires on it, with snorkels, it'd go for $3,000 more.
oh yeah,
Around here.
and it would sell twice as fast.
Yeah, it'd sell it
If
within.
I put snorkels
Yeah.
on it and put big mud grips on it, immediately it would be gone. Compared to when I bought it, like it was for sale for quite a while because it's not a mud rig in our area.
Nobody around here wants rock crawlers.
Yeah, they're all into mud rigs and bogging and deep and all
Which
that.
is why y'all see so many of our videos being at Barnwell. That's the closest rock crawling place we have to go to.
And we love Barnwell because it is close. Like we can make it in less than an hour. It's a small park, but literally if you go every month or every other month, in which we usually go about every 2 months, it changes every single time. The amount of rigs that go there, the amount of Jeeps that go there, and the amount of rain we get in this area, like that whole park changes. Trails that we did last year, you can't do this year because they're washed out,
Yeah,
they're
they're just
gone.
washed out. And plus the tire size on what everybody's running is getting bigger. I mean, hell, the 370, or the XDR 370s just came out with a 37-inch and 40-inch all-terrain tire
Yeah,
for a side-by-side. It's like, that ain't been heard of
yeah,
for all-terrain.
yeah, that's crazy.
That ain't been heard of. But anyways, I
We
don't know what the
probably
hell,
need to wrap this up.
yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. We got off topic on a bunch of other shit.
Screen door,
Yeah.
great time.
This
Did
is
it
what,
forwards, did it backwards, both of them. I didn't get to ride in that one, but you will see me ride in some other shit that was sketchy as hell with Robert. Yeah.
this is why we started the podcast, so y'all can kind of get in the minds of how we work. Like, y'all just saying, we just went off a whole different rant that had
Sorry.
nothing to do with
If
what
you
we
try
wanted to do
If
with.
you try to follow our minds, I'm sorry.
I mean, here in a minute, we may be talking about going to the lake. Who knows?
We did talk about going to Lake Murray
We did.
for a ride.
We did.
But, you know, just to keep you up to date, this is why we do it. Like, this is what we do. This is how we kind of figure out our next trip and our next ride and what we want to do and how we want to do it. So, you know, thank y'all for following along. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for subscribing. You know, we appreciate it more than you ever know. We sat down and decided that we wanted to make a YouTube channel. We didn't know what we were going to do or how we were going to do it. And we really didn't know where it was going to go.
We
And it-
had no idea.
and it's grown more than we ever thought, and that's because of you. You people that watch us, you people that want to keep up with us. And that's going to keep us bringing more material to y'all.
We appreciate it. All y'all supporting comments and just people subscribing and liking. It just gives us inspiration to ride and do more crazier shit and build our rides
Yeah.
to more capable stuff. That way we can do harder stuff for y'all and get more interesting footage.
Right, absolutely. So, thanks for watching the second one. 2 weeks, you'll probably see another one. I mean, no guarantees. We don't guarantee anything because we never know what we're going to do. But
Exactly.
there's a good chance you'll see us again in 2 weeks right here back in the Silo Saloon. Peace out.